Amirul Mu'mineen, salawatullahi alayhi, he speaks about this tongue, and he says, جِرْمُهُ صَغِيرٌ وَجُرْمُهُ كَبِيرٌ. But this tongue, it's small in size, but it is great in its damage. You know, brothers and sisters, we're familiar with the story of Adam alayhi salam. Adam was placed in this garden, right, before his taklif began. Adam alayhi salam, he had children and he had grandchildren. He had many offspring. And this is a story told by Ayatollah Bahjat. He shared this with his students. He would sit with his children, with his grandchildren. You know, when you're surrounded by children, you feel like you're in a jungle, yes? Jumping and screaming and yelling. And he would sit there so quietly, so patient, until one of his children asked him, Ya Nabi Allah, how come you are so quiet? You're a man of silence. Why is that? He says to them that after I was removed from that garden, Jibreel came to me. He saw that I was distraught. And he said to me, he gave me some advice. He says, Ya Adam, if you want to go back to that state of bliss, I have one advice for you. Reduce your speech. Don't talk too much. You don't need to say everything. Not every thought that crosses your mind, you need to utter it. You know, brothers and sisters, there's a hadith that if you read it, it's shocking. The Holy Prophet says, he speaks about the reason why we're spiritually blind and deaf. Rasulullah says, if it was not for your excessive speech, if it wasn't for the fact that you talk too much and your hearts are so distracted, Rasulullah says, you would be able to see what I see, and you would be able to hear what I hear. You would have basira. You would have the eye of your heart would open. But the problem is, we talk too much. Even if you're not doing ghiba or slandering, you're engaging in things that don't concern you. You're engaging in laghu, useless talk. You know, we talk about, you know, this is a period where you always hear about weapons of mass destruction. The biggest fitna of our time is not weapons of mass, it's weapons of mass distraction. That's the real fitna. So the first advice is what? Reduce your speech. Now that doesn't mean you should be antisocial. Doesn't mean that you just sit there and you do the fast of Maryam, right? You don't speak to anybody. You know, you just point to things, right? It means that you pay attention to your words. When you're in the company of your family, speak, but be calculated when you speak. Know that every word, there's a hisab for it. Brothers and sisters, one of the things that I admire the most of Ayatollah Sistani, you know, people always criticize him, say, how come he doesn't speak? How come he doesn't, you know, how come, you know, CNN doesn't interview? Why does he come out and talk and talk and talk? It's because he's following this advice. When you speak only when it is necessary, your silence will be as powerful as your words. Sayyid Sistani, when he's silent, he shakes the world. And when he speaks, he shakes the world. Why? Because he's following the instructions of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the prescription, the instruction to reduce your speech doesn't mean that you need to be antisocial. Pay attention to what you say. If you want to speak, make the niyyah that I'm going to talk, I'm going to socialize with the niyyah of bringing joy to the hearts of mu'mineen. Because it's a good deed. You want to tell a joke, you want to say something pleasant, make that your niyyah. Make every word that you utter a vehicle that will bring you closer to Allah. And embrace the virtue of silence.